Welcome back, Tacoma. Thank you for tuning into CityLine. It's almost the end of the show, and in some ways that's sad for me because this has really been a really great run of good news in Tacoma as promised. I am joined on the big white couch now by Liz Dunbar, who is the Executive Director of Tacoma Community House. And you are a familiar face on this program. I think you've been with Tacoma Community House for how long?
9 years.
Oh, okay. Well, you've had your share of telling people about what Tacoma Community House is, but can you ever really get enough opportunity to tell people that?
No.
No, so let's hear it.
Okay. So Tacoma Community House is a one-stop shop primarily for immigrants and refugees. And we were started 108 years ago in the Hilltop. We're located a block from the studio and have been there ever since 1910. And we provide 4 major program areas: education, employment, immigration, and advocacy for victims of crime. And most of those programs are primarily addressing immigrants and refugees and helping them become self-sufficient. And many of our clients use more than one of those services to help them on their road to self-sufficiency.
So how have you seen public perception and policy toward immigrants, refugees, and dreamers change in light of current events?
Well, it's been a very challenging couple of years. The rhetoric in the political world has been really negative and misleading, and so we've been working really hard to counteract that. On the other hand, in Tacoma, in Pierce County, we've seen a real increase in support from individuals who want to come and volunteer with us, people who are making contributions, people who ask us to come, like CityLine, and talk about what we're doing and talk about immigrants and refugees to get the real facts out there. So as troubling as it's been for our clients who face a lot of fear and threats and worry about their future, we're seeing a lot of support for that, at least locally.
I love that we have a compassionate community here. We see that all the time in the things that we do. And I'm wondering if you can give some examples of how your staff works to better educate people on immigrant issues, and then what you would tell Tacomans, I suppose you do this all the time, about how they can support immigrants and help them feel safe and supported in this time.
Well, first of all, it's doing things like CityLine, so thank you for having us on today. But I go out and talk to Rotary clubs and other service clubs, schools, universities. I'll be speaking at the Wong Symposium at PLU next week, which is all on migration. I've spoken at the Urban Studies Forum at UW-T on immigration. And so we're always looking for those opportunities. We do a lot on social media and get the word out that way. We have a wonderful new project with a local artist named Jonathan Hanks, who's painting portraits of refugees, and they tell their story on a video while you see the portrait being painted. And you can see those on our Facebook page or on our website.
Oh, that would be worth seeing. I love
It's
that
beautiful.
because it really humanizes these issues, this news swirl that we see happening. And it's hard to really pinpoint that and say, how does this affect me in my life, in my community, and how are people around me being affected? So that's really important. Are there anything else that you want to say there about how?
Well, I think what I want people to know is all the contributions that immigrants and refugees make in this community and how they add to the vibrancy of our culture, how they add to our economy. Immigrants and refugees create jobs and create new businesses at a higher rate than anybody else. They're more likely to be entrepreneurs. So they're contributing to the economy, they're helping our community grow and improve, and they want the American dream just like everybody else. And that's the message I really want people to hear.
Well, while we are on the topic of immigration and immigrants, let's talk for a moment about Tacoma Community House's relationship with the Immigrant Detention Center at the Port of Tacoma.
So we support people who are able to be released from the detention center. So if they are released and they stay in this community, we can support them through our education programs, our employment programs, our immigration services, and our crime victim services, because often one of the reasons they are released is they are a crime victim, and then we can help them through that process. There are other organizations that can help people while they're in the detention center, such as Northwest Immigrant Rights Project that does legal services, and the Aid to Immigrants in Detention that provides support to detainees.
Okay, great. So speaking of current events and just the issues that are swirling around us, let's talk for a couple minutes here about the new tax laws and how you see that maybe affecting Tacoma Community House here in the next year or so, or just what's going to happen.
I think it's really too early to tell. I've tried to do some research on this, and there was a concern that fewer people would itemize deductions and therefore they wouldn't contribute. But the reality is that people contribute to nonprofits for many, many reasons. And the tax deduction is like number 11 on their list of reasons. So I don't really think it's going to have a huge impact. And we have a very generous community, and I'm confident that people will continue to give to important organizations like the ones you've showcased today.
Right. There are a lot of them out there, and there's a lot of good work being done in the community that I think, tax laws or no, people will continue to support the things that make their communities better.
I think so.
And speaking of which, there is an opportunity for people to do so coming up here in April. You've got this is crazy to me, 108th annual luncheon. I think you have the record in Tacoma of like consecutive annual luncheons. 108 years ago, you had your first luncheon. So tell us about what that event is going to be like, what is, when, where, and what, and then also what that means for Tacoma Community House and for Tacoma.
Well, we're very excited to host our 108th anniversary luncheon, and it will be on Friday the 13th, so that's easy to remember, of April, at the Tacoma Convention Center. It starts at 11:30. There's no cost to attend, but people will be asked to make a contribution. And it's a chance to learn more about what we do and who we serve, to hear the voices directly from some of our clients and our board members. And we always find that we have so many people in the community who don't know who we are and what we do. And this is a great way to get an introduction to us and learn a little bit more. So we really encourage people to come. We have room for about 700 people, and we would love to have you, and you can just sign up by going to our website, tacomacommunityhouse.org.
Great. Yes, I registered today, actually.
Oh, good, good.
Yeah. So you mentioned the fact that you would be telling some of your client stories at the luncheon, and I'm wondering if you might just spare us a little time here to tell us one or two.
Well, the first one I'd like to tell is to tie into your previous segment about the refugee choir. So when Erin had that idea, she came to us and said, could you help me start a refugee choir? And we said yes. So her first group of choir members came from our students, and she's since expanded out into the community. We're still the fiscal agent for her nonprofit to help them raise funds to be able to do this. But more exciting is the fact that Natalie is the young woman who is the refugee coordinator at the choir, is one of our success stories. She was a student in our English classes several years ago, and she is now a student at Tacoma Community College because her English is so good that she's able to do that and start her own business and, as I said earlier, contribute to this community in so many different ways. So we're very grateful that we were able to help launch her onto her success. We serve people from many different countries. So we had a couple from Yemen that we served in the last few years. Yemen's in the middle of a civil war. The wife in the family was able to come to the United States because she was a U.S. citizen, but she had to leave her family behind, and she was pregnant. She was able to have her baby here, and through the help of our immigration department, was able to sponsor her husband and her rest of her children to come and join her. And then we helped her husband learn English and find a job. And so that family is now successfully and happily a part of our community.
I love that idea of having people stop for a moment and think about what if their story were yours, right? You hear that all the time, that these are real people who are making this big move, and that these services exist in our community to help them sort of get settled and situate themselves and be safe and supported is just wonderful. We've got very little time left, but I wanted to make sure, so you work to move people towards self-sufficiency. All of your clients, you're kind of moving them in that direction, using the big buckets of education, employment, immigration, and advocacy. Do you want to talk for a moment about employment?
Yes, I'd love to talk about employment. So we are not only helping people get their first job often in this country, but we are now really focused on helping people get additional skills and be able to move up. So we have 2 training programs now, one for nursing assistant certification that we partner with TCC on, and we're about to start a childcare training program to help refugee, probably mostly women, become child care providers and hopefully open their own childcare business. So we want to help people on that first step of the ladder, but also help them keep moving up the ladder.
That idea of self-sufficiency is a very prominent one on your website, which I'm going to refer back to the website again. You've got a good one, a lot of really great information on there, including information on how to sign up for your April luncheon. So thank you for everything that you do and for being so articulate and helping us get through this, a lot of information about all the things that you do. I'm honored to finally meet you and to have you on the big white couch here with me.
Thank you, Christy. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. That's great news. All of this is things that are happening here right in our fair city. And I hope that you were able to take plenty from this show to go out there and be part of what makes Tacoma great.